High above the Earth, something unusual was happening. The International Space Station was moving fast, very fast. It was flying around the planet at almost 28,000 kilometers per hour. From Earth, it looked like a small bright star. But inside, it was a home, a fragile home. Inside the station, everything was quiet, too quiet. An astronaut floated slowly near a control panel. His body was not touching the floor. There was no floor for him. No up, no down, only space. He checked the screen again, his face changed. Something was wrong. A soft alarm sound started to echo inside the station. Not loud, not fast, but dangerous. This was not a normal sound. This sound meant trouble. He took a deep breath and pushed himself toward the communication panel. His heart was beating fast. In space, fear feels stronger. There's no place to run. He pressed the button. "This is ISS," he said calmly, but his voice was shaking. "We have a problem." Down on Earth, in a control room filled with screens and lights, people suddenly became alert. Engineers, scientists, and flight controllers looked at each other. They heard the words every space mission fears, a problem in space. "Explain the situation," a voice replied from Earth. Inside the station, the astronaut looked around. Small objects were floating. A pen slowly moved past his face. Everything looked normal, but he knew it was not. "We are losing pressure," he said. "Very slowly, but it is happening." Silence. Pressure loss in space is deadly. No pressure means no air. No air means death. Even a tiny hole smaller than a coin can kill everyone inside. On Earth, the room became tense. Fingers moved fast on keyboards. Screens showed numbers changing. "How much time do you have?" Earth asked. The astronaut looked at the screen again. He swallowed. "Maybe hours," he said. "Maybe less." The station was built to be strong, but space is cruel. Outside the walls, there was nothing. No oxygen, no mercy, only cold, dark space. The astronaut floated to the wall and placed his hand on it. Somewhere inside this metal body, air was escaping, slowly, silently. Another astronaut joined him. Her eyes were wide, but she stayed calm. "Panic is dangerous in space." "We must find the leak," she said. They started moving through the station. Every movement was slow and careful. Fast actions waste oxygen. Every breath mattered now. On Earth, experts watched live video. They remembered history. This was not the first time humans faced danger in space. Fire, explosions, near-death moments. Space never forgives mistakes. "Close the next module," Earth ordered. "Isolate sections one by one." The astronauts followed instructions. One door closed, then another. Each closed door meant less space to live, but it also meant a chance to survive. The pressure numbers stopped falling. For a moment, hope returned. "The leak is behind that door," someone on Earth said. But then the alarm started again. Pressure was falling again. The leak was still there. The astronaut closed his eyes for 1 second. Only 1 second. He thought about Earth below him. Blue oceans, white clouds, people walking freely, breathing without thinking. Up here, every breath was a decision. "We are running out of time," he said. On Earth, no one spoke. They knew the truth. Finding a leak in space is like finding a needle in darkness. The astronauts took a small device and moved slowly along the walls. The device listened to air. A soft sound, like a whisper, then they heard it, a faint hiss. There, a tiny crack near a panel. It was small, very small, but in space, small is enough. "Found it," the astronaut said. Relief filled the control room on Earth. But the danger was not over. "Can you fix it?" Earth asked. The astronaut looked at the crack. He knew the answer was not simple. "We can try," he said. He took repair material and slowly pressed it over the leak. His hands were steady, but his mind was racing. If this failed, there would be no second chance. Seconds passed. The pressure stopped falling. Everyone waited. 10 seconds, 20 seconds. The numbers stayed stable. A deep breath was released, both in space and on Earth. "You did it," Earth said quietly. The astronaut leaned back, floating in silence. The danger had passed, for now, but one thing was clear. Living in space was not easy. This home above Earth was beautiful, but also deadly. Every day on the station was a fight between human life and the emptiness of space. And this was only the beginning, because the real question was not how they survived this moment. The real question was, why do humans choose to live in such a dangerous place? To be continued, the danger was over, but the question stayed alive. Why do humans build a home in space? The International Space Station floated quietly again, shining under the light of the sun. From the outside, it looked calm, but its story was never calm. This home in space was not built in one day. It was not built on Earth, and it was not built without fear. Many years before the desperate call, humans had a dream, a dangerous dream. They wanted to stay in space, not just visit it. They wanted a place where people could live, work, and survive far from Earth, but space did not welcome them. On Earth, engineers looked at drawings and plans, long metal parts, solar panels like giant wings, modules shaped like tubes. On paper, everything looked easy. In reality, it was almost impossible. No one could build the station on Earth and send it up. It was too big, too heavy, so humans made a risky decision. They would build it piece by piece high above the planet. Every piece had to travel inside a rocket. Every launch could fail. One explosion could destroy years of work. One mistake could end lives. The first piece went up into space alone. It looked small and lonely, floating above Earth. It had no windows, no people, just metal and hope. Then another piece arrived. Astronauts came with it. They stepped into the empty module, floating carefully. Their hands touched the walls. This was the beginning of a home that did not yet feel like one. Outside the station, Earth turned slowly below them. Blue, peaceful, very far away. Building the station was like solving a puzzle while falling. There was no ground to stand on, no gravity to help. Tools floated away if released. Bolts could disappear forever into space. Astronauts trained for years, but space had its own rules. During one spacewalk, an astronaut lost grip of a tool. It drifted away, shining once in the sunlight, then gone. A reminder that space takes everything it can. Each spacewalk was dangerous. One small tear in a suit could mean death in seconds. Still, they went out again and again, because stopping was not an option. Back on Earth, different countries worked together. People who were once enemies shared plans, technology, and trust. Politics stayed on the ground. Survival stayed in space. Slowly, the station grew. A new module arrived, then another and another. Solar panels opened like giant blue wings, catching sunlight and turning it into power. Without them, the station would go dark. No light, no air, no life. Inside, astronauts connected wires, pipes, and computers. Every system depended on another. If one failed, many would follow. Space tested them constantly. A computer shut down without warning. A cooling system stopped working. A door refused to open. Each time, humans learned, they fixed, they adapted. The station was not perfect. It never would be, but it was alive. Months passed, then years. The empty metal tubes slowly became a home. Soft sleeping bags were attached to walls. Family photos floated near workstations. Small signs of Earth followed humans into space. But danger never left. Microscopic space debris hit the station at extreme speed, too small to see, too fast to stop. Each hit was like a bullet. The walls were designed to survive this. Still, every impact reminded astronauts that their home was fragile. One night, an astronaut looked out of the window. Earth filled his view. Cities glowed like stars. Storms moved like living creatures. He realized something important. This station was not just metal and machines, it was proof. Proof that humans could work together. Proof that humans could live where they were never meant to live. Proof that fear did not always win. But the cost was high. Every mission carried risk. Every repair could be the last. Every day depended on thin walls and perfect systems. The station did not forgive mistakes. It only allowed lessons. And those lessons were paid for with sweat, fear, and courage. As the astronaut floated back inside, he understood the truth. The International Space Station was not built because it was safe. It was built because humans needed to know if they could survive beyond Earth, and what they would discover there would change life forever. But survival was only one part of the story, because living in space would soon begin to change the human body itself. And that change would bring new dangers no one fully expected. To be continued, at first. It felt like freedom. Inside the International Space Station, the astronaut pushed gently from the wall and floated across the room. No walking, no weight, no pain in the legs. His body felt light, almost magical, but space was playing a trick. The human body was never made for this. On Earth, gravity pulls everything down. Bones grow strong. Muscles stay firm. Blood flows in a familiar way, but in space, gravity disappears. And when gravity disappears, the body begins to forget. After just a few days, the astronaut noticed changes. His face looked different. Puffy, swollen, blood was moving upward toward his head. His legs looked thinner. Weaker. This was not sickness, this was space. Doctors on Earth watched closely. They had seen this before. Every astronaut faced the same silent enemy, the slow change of the human body. Muscles that were not used started to shrink. Bones slowly lost strength. Calcium escaped into the blood. What was once solid became fragile. The astronaut exercised every day, 2 hours, sometimes more. He ran on a treadmill, tied down with straps so he would not float away. He lifted heavy machines that pushed back like gravity. Still, it was not enough. Space always took more. Sleeping was also different. There was no bed, no pillow. He slept inside a soft bag attached to the wall. If he forgot to zip it, his body would float around while sleeping. Some nights he woke suddenly, not because of noise, but because his brain was confused. No up, no down. The mind searched for Earth and did not find it. Even simple things became strange. Tears did not fall. They stayed in the eyes, forming small balls of water. A cough sounded louder. A headache felt stronger. But the most dangerous change was hidden. Inside the body, balance systems failed. The inner ear, which helps humans know direction, became confused. Many astronauts felt sick for days. Some could not eat, some could barely work. Still, the mission continued. Then came the biggest fear. What if the body never fully returned to normal? Doctors knew the risk. Long stays in space could cause permanent damage. Weak bones, weak muscles, vision problems, heart changes. The astronaut looked at his hands. They still worked, still strong enough. But for how long? He thought about Earth again. About walking, running, feeling weight. Up here, weight was gone, but so was safety. Yet humans stayed. Why? Because space was also a teacher. The body showed scientists how gravity shaped life, how bones grew, how muscles stayed alive. These lessons helped people on Earth too. Patients who could not walk, people with weak bones. Space research saved lives below. Still, the cost was paid by the astronauts themselves. One day, the astronaut looked at the calendar. He had been in space for months. His return was still far away. His body had changed. His mind had changed. His understanding of life had changed. He was no longer just visiting space. He was surviving it. But space had one more test waiting. A test that did not attack the body slowly, a test that could end everything in seconds. Because outside the station, danger was flying faster than bullets, and it was coming closer. To be continued, the astronaut was looking out of the window when it happened. Earth was glowing below. Night and day moved together like a slow dance. From this height, the planet looked peaceful, safe, silent, but space was never silent. Inside the International Space Station, a sudden warning light turned red. Then came the sound. A sharp alarm, not loud, not long, but deadly serious. The astronaut pushed himself quickly toward the control panel. His training took over. In space, there is no time for fear, only action. On the screen, a message flashed. Space debris alert. His heart dropped. Space debris was one of the most dangerous threats in orbit. It was not big like movies showed, it was small, sometimes no bigger than a screw, sometimes just paint dust, but it moved faster than a bullet. At these speeds, even a tiny object could punch a hole through metal, through walls, through lives. On Earth, experts were already shouting commands. Debris detected, a voice said, closing in fast. The astronaut looked around the station. Thin walls, cables, air, life, everything depended on those walls staying unbroken. How much time? He asked. Minutes, Earth replied, maybe less. The station could not run away. It could only try to move slightly, changing its path. Sometimes that worked. Sometimes it didn't. The astronauts followed emergency steps. Doors closed between sections. Equipment was secured. They moved into the safest area of the station. Then they waited. Waiting was the hardest part. No sound came from outside. No sign. Just empty space rushing past at impossible speed. The astronaut held onto a handle. His breath was slow, controlled. He remembered the desperate call from before. He remembered how close they had come. Space was testing them again. Then a dull air, not loud, not explosive, just a deep vibration through the station. Everything stopped. For 1 second, no one breathed. On Earth, screens shook. Numbers jumped. Impact confirmed, someone said. The astronaut checked the pressure system. His eyes moved fast. Pressure was stable. No air was escaping. They were alive, but relief did not last long. Damage detected, Earth said. External panel hit. The debris had missed the living area. This time, outside, a small scar marked the station's skin, a reminder that danger never sleeps in orbit. The astronaut floated to the window again. He stared into the darkness. Out there were millions of pieces of debris, old satellites, broken parts, trash from past missions. Humans had polluted space just like Earth, and space never cleaned itself. Every year the danger grew. The astronaut wondered how long luck would stay on their side, because debris was not the only enemy. Fire was another. In space, fire behaved differently. Flames did not rise. They spread in strange shapes. Smoke did not move up. It stayed, filling the air silently. One small spark could kill everyone. That was why astronauts trained for fire more than almost anything else. And then there was radiation. Invisible, silent, deadly. Without Earth's protection, powerful space radiation passed through the station, through bodies, through cells. Over time, it could damage DNA, increase cancer risk, change the future of life. The station's walls blocked some radiation. Not all, every day in space was a gamble. Still, the astronauts stayed, not because they were fearless, but because they believed the risk mattered. They believed learning how to survive here would help humans survive anywhere. Mars, the moon, beyond. As the alarm systems returned to normal, the astronaut finally relaxed his grip. His hands were shaking now. The danger had passed. Again, he looked at the small scar on the station's outer camera feed. Such a small mark, such a big warning. This home in space was under constant attack from emptiness itself, and yet it still floated, still lived, still carried hope. But the greatest danger was still ahead, because one day the station would face something no repair could stop. Not debris, not fire, not radiation, time. And time was already running out. To be continued after every danger. The same question returned. Why stay? Why continue living inside the International Space Station, knowing that one small mistake could end everything? The astronaut floated near a window, watching Earth pass below again. 16 sunrises every day, 16 sunsets. Time moved differently here. He knew the answer was not bravery, it was purpose. Inside the station, small experiments filled almost every corner. Wires, boxes, tubes, machines blinking quietly. To an outsider, they looked boring. But inside them were answers. Answers Earth could not find alone. In space, gravity was almost gone, and without gravity, nature behaved in new ways. Fire burned differently. Water moved like living glass. The human body changed. Scientists on Earth watched closely. One experiment studied bones. In space, bones became weak faster than on Earth. By learning why, doctors discovered new ways to help people with bone disease back home. Another experiment studied muscles. Astronauts lost muscle strength quickly. This helped scientists understand how to protect patients who could not move for long periods. Even the heart was studied. In space, it did not work as hard. Blood moved differently. These lessons helped treat heart problems on Earth. The astronaut knew something important. Space was dangerous, yes, but it was also a perfect laboratory. No place on Earth could copy these conditions. Plants were grown inside the station. Seeds floated as they sprouted. Roots searched for direction and found none. Scientists learned how food might be grown on Mars one day. Tiny creatures were studied too, bacteria, cells, even human tissue. Some grew faster, some changed shape, some became stronger. This knowledge could save lives. One experiment focused on medicine. In microgravity, proteins formed better crystals. Clearer, stronger. This helped scientists design better drugs. Down on Earth, patients would never know their medicine started in space. But it did. The astronaut floated to a workstation and checked a small sample box. Inside were results that took months to collect. Months of risk. Months of danger. Worth it. Communication with Earth continued every day. Schools watched live video calls. Children asked questions. Is space scary? Do you miss Earth? Would you do it again? The astronaut always smiled. Yes, he answered honestly, because he knew something most people never felt. He knew how fragile life really was. One thin wall, one breath of air, one fragile body, and yet humans reached the stars anyway. The station was more than metal, it was cooperation. Countries that fought on Earth worked together here, shared food, shared danger, shared hope. Up here, borders disappeared. Only Earth remained. The astronaut pressed his face closer to the window. He saw storms forming, oceans moving, a thin blue line protecting all life. That line mattered. Everything they learned in space was to protect that line. Still, the station was aging. Screws wore down. Metal grew tired. Systems needed constant care. Nothing lasted forever. The astronaut knew this home would one day end. But its mission would not, because the knowledge gained here would travel forward. To the moon. To Mars. To places humans had never touched. The danger would continue. The risk would remain, but so would the reason. Humans stayed in space not because it was safe. They stayed because the future was waiting, and the next step would be even more dangerous, because one day they would have to leave this home behind and face the unknown alone. To be continued, nothing lives forever. Not cities, not machines, not even a home in space. The International Space Station was strong, but it was getting old. The astronaut noticed it in small ways, a panel that needed more repairs than before, a system that took longer to start, a strange sound that did not exist last year. Metal aged in space faster than on Earth. Extreme heat, extreme cold, day and night again and again. The station felt all of it. Every 90 minutes the station moved from burning sunlight to deep darkness. Hot, cold, over and over. The metal expanded, then shrank again and again. Tiny cracks formed, too small to see, but astronauts knew they were there. On Earth, engineers watched carefully. They had built the station to last many years, but space always changed the plan. Everything is under control, they said, but control in space was never permanent. The astronaut floated through a narrow corridor. His hand touched the wall gently. He felt something strange. A vibration, not dangerous, not yet, but new. Reported it. On Earth, experts checked data. Old parts, old wires, old systems. The truth was clear. The station was tired. Repair missions became more frequent. Astronauts spent more time fixing than exploring. Some days felt like working in an old ship that refused to rest. Still, the station stayed alive. because humans refused to let it die too soon. But there was another problem: money. Keeping a home in space was expensive, very expensive. Rockets, fuel, repairs, training, everything cost billions. People on Earth began asking questions. Why spend so much money in space? Why not use it on Earth? The astronaut heard these questions during calls from Earth. He understood them. Life on Earth was not easy, but he also knew something others didn't. If humans stopped now, the future would stop too. Still, decisions were being made. New space stations were being planned. Smaller, smarter, more advanced. Some built by private companies. Some by new countries. The ISS would not be alone forever, and one day it would not be needed anymore. The astronaut floated near the window again. He imagined the station without people. Quiet, empty, just metal circling Earth. It felt strange. This place had laughter, fear, work, hope. Could it really just end? Engineers had a plan, a careful one. When the time came, the station would be guided down slowly. Controlled, safe. It would burn in Earth's atmosphere like a falling star. Most of it would disappear forever. Only memories would remain. The astronaut felt something heavy inside his chest. Not fear, sadness. This station was the first real home humans built beyond Earth. The first place where people lived for months, years in space. It deserved respect. But the end was not failure. It was a step, because endings make space for new beginnings. As the astronaut prepared for another workday, he knew something important. The station was not dying, it was passing the torch. Soon, humans would leave this home behind, and when they did, they would go farther than ever before. But before that final goodbye, one last chapter remained. One final journey. One final fall from the sky, and the world below would watch. To be continued, the day everyone knew would come was now close. The International Space Station was still circling Earth, but its future was already written. Astronaut floated quietly inside the station. This time, there was no alarm. No danger sound, just silence. A different kind of silence. This was not fear, this was goodbye. For years, this place had protected human life in the most dangerous environment. Thin walls, limited air, endless darkness outside. Still, it worked. Now it was time to let it go. On Earth, engineers prepared carefully. This was not an accident. This was a planned ending. Every move mattered. One wrong step could send debris toward Earth. The station would not fall like a rock. It would return slowly, gently, like an old traveler coming home. The astronaut looked around one last time. Handrails worn smooth by gloves, small marks on walls, places where people laughed, worked, survived. This was not just metal. This was memory. He remembered the first day he arrived, the fear, the excitement, the feeling of floating for the first time. The smell of the station, a mix of metal and recycled air. He remembered the dangers too, the desperate call, the silent leak, the debris strike. Each moment could have been the end, but it wasn't. Humans learned, adapted, lived. Soon the station would be empty. No voices, no movement, just systems working alone for the final task. On Earth, people gathered to watch. Scientists, students, families, even those who once questioned its cost. Because this moment mattered. The station was slowly guided lower. Bit by bit. Orbit by orbit. Earth's gravity reached out, pulling it closer. The astronaut was already home now. Safe on Earth, standing under real gravity again. His legs felt heavy, weak, but his heart was full. He looked up at the sky. Somewhere above, the station was still there, for now. The final command was sent. Engines fired, just enough. The station began its last descent. As it entered the atmosphere, fire appeared. Not dangerous fire, controlled fire. The kind that ends a journey. From the ground, people saw a bright line across the sky, like a shooting star, like a farewell message written in light. Most of the station burned away, piece by piece, years of work turning into fire and dust. No pain, no fear, just an ending. Small parts fell into the ocean. Far from land, far from life, safe. The world watched in silence. Some felt proud, some felt sad, some felt inspired. Because this was not failure, this was success. The station did what it was built to do. It taught humans how to live in space, how to work together, how to survive beyond Earth. As the sky returned to normal, one truth remained. The home in space was gone, but what it gave humanity would never be lost, because this ending was only the beginning. The next home would be farther. The next journey longer, and humans would go there carrying the lessons of their first home in space. The sky was quiet again. No fire, no bright line, no moving star. The International Space Station was gone, but its story was not. On Earth, life continued as normal. Cars moved, people worked, children played. Most people did not look up anymore, but something had changed forever. Inside laboratories, scientists still studied data sent from space years ago. Numbers, images, results. The station was still speaking, just not from the sky. Doctors used knowledge learned in orbit to help patients walk again, to protect weak bones, to understand how the human heart changes. Farmers studied space plant research to grow food in hard places on Earth. Engineers used station technology to build better machines, safer systems, smarter designs. The home in space was gone, but its fingerprints were everywhere. In classrooms, teachers told stories. They spoke about humans living without gravity, about sleeping on walls, about working together above Earth. Children listened with wide eyes. Some of them would grow up to build the next station. Some would walk on the moon, some would travel to Mars. The astronaut, now back on Earth, walked slowly under the open sky. Gravity pressed down on him, strong, heavy, real. He stopped and looked up. There was nothing there, but he smiled, because he knew something others did not fully understand. The station was never just a place, it was a question. Can humans live beyond Earth? Can they work together? Can they survive the impossible? The answer was yes. Not perfectly, not easily, but bravely. The station proved that humans are not limited to one world, that borders disappear when survival matters, that curiosity is stronger than fear. New stations were already being planned, different shapes, new technology, new dreams, but all of them would carry one truth. They were possible because of the first home in space. The astronaut took a deep breath of fresh air, free air, endless air. He whispered softly, almost to himself, "We learned how to live up there, so one day we can live anywhere." Above him, the sky stayed silent, but humanity was already preparing to return. Stronger, smarter, together, the end.